Hey guys, Dream here again. Before we start, I want to know if you guys hear any background noise for this video. It's a fan, or WZ Emron, or a crying 4-year-old. That's my brother. Also, before we begin, if you guys have anything to do, start doing it. Dishes, cleaning your room, I don't care. Do whatever, because I'm here for background noise. And you're not supposed to stare at my videos for the entire time, because I can edit, so it can be entertaining. Alright, start your chores, or whatever you want to do, while I begin the story. Alright. For this, Yuji is born with a heavenly restriction. He is still a physical monster regardless, like he is in canon, but here's the odd part. His heavenly restriction multiplies. Basically the point where, let's say, oh, he can run at Mach 3 without needing, or I would say like Mach 1 or Mach 2, maybe. I'm talking like pre-Kenjaku, if not Shinjuku Showdown Yuji can do that. And multiply that with a heavenly restriction. I did the math, and my math was very much weird. But if you want to go off like strength feats, physically Toji is 3,000 times stronger than the average human. Because he threw an entire semi-truck at Megami. That's 25 tons being thrown at Megami, and Toji did it a few dozen times. So 3,000 might be a low ball strength-wise. To nerf Yuji a little bit, Mach 20 is where I got his speed. Already makes him basically one of the fastest characters in the series. And that is like pre-joining Tokyo Tech. At this point, he's already above Toji in nearly every way except for skill and IQ. And experience, yeah. But Yuji's grandfather, he would make sure to take extra care of Yuji, martial arts wise, because Yuji needs help controlling his inhuman strength. Yuji would learn the different martial arts from karate. He would learn karate, of course, but martial art that I know is based off control, Aikido. So Yuji's going to learn Aikido. So now that basically gives Yuji a base in grappling and striking. Now, Yuji isn't awakened since he feels like he needs a purpose in life, and sadly, he has not found it. If we're going to talk about, his grandfather's death would be his awakening, that's too early. That's what he wants to do, but he is not a sorcerer yet. He wouldn't know how to accomplish that. He'd still be purposeless. So, yeah. But soon, Yuji meets Megami, and that's pretty much the exact same. In fact, everything kind of the same until Sukuna takes over. As when it comes to the curses, Yuji's honestly manhandling all of them, but more and more kept coming, and as more and more kept coming, Yuji would eat a finger to eat the finger, hoping to get all the curses away from him. Now, Sukuna's soul is using a body destined to never have cursed energy, so when Sukuna would take over, it's like the body switched. Basically, one soul's active, others not. When Yuji's soul's inactive, his strength drops to that of an average person. Now, Sukuna's body is weaker than it is ever at any point in the story that we've seen, aside from being a corpse or a fetus. But yeah, at this point, Sukuna is basically as weak as ever. So with this, Gojo would arrive. He slammed Sukuna even easier than before. But when Yuji would get control back, he's actually completely fine. And he's like, "Wow, that guy's so strong. Good thing my body's better." Which Gojo's like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, my entire body was making sure he moved slower." As Yuji was kind of spectating, trying to get control back, this is where you have a Toji moment where Toji simply just says, "Then I guess my body is stronger than the soul." Yuji's body was already strong as all hell, and for his soul, that's amplified now, it's multiplied. His entire body's fighting back against Sukuna, which is why his body drops so significantly, so it can nerf Sukuna. Basically trying to discourage Sukuna from fighting because Yuji's body cannot handle Sukuna's abilities, and Sukuna cannot handle his abilities. So, that Yuji can handle cursed energy, Sukuna can't handle such a strong body. But, yeah. Now with this, the fact that Yuji's perfectly fine right now, even after Gojo hitting him so much, his body has a healing factor, like all heavenly restriction users do. Gojo gives Yuji a small test, and she calls him very impressive. This compares Yuji to Toji, if not a superior being. One thing lacking is his skill IQ, battle IQ, and his experience. Other than that, every single physical aspect, including the healing factor, is way above Toji's. To the point where even his perception is much faster, to the point where he can even perceive a hollow purple. No, he can't. It'd be reversal red or lapse blue. He can perceive both of those pretty easily, actually. Now Yuji goes to Tokyo Tech, eats more fingers, meets Yaga. It's pretty much the exact same until Yuji fights the finger bearer in 2 weeks. Now during this time, Yuji uses a Slaughter Demon, and the fact that Yuji is much faster than Finger Bearer ever is, when the characters appear behind them, his advanced senses allow them to smell, hear, and sense it. So the moment they appear behind him, he immediately shot the blade like you just lifted his arm with the Finger Bearer and impaled one of its eyes on Slaughter Demon. Amy jumped back after Yuji did that, and Yuji simply just says, "Go find Nobara, he'll fight the curse." Yuji and the curse fight, and Yuji's AP is like It's high, but the curse's AP with its blast that catching Yuji off guard, including when it hit him. And he's like, oh yeah, he's on Gojo level, so his attacks can't hurt me. He's on experience, strong, and Megumi. Finger Bear's between strong and Megumi. Stronger than Megumi, but not as strong as Gojo. So when you usually try to take an attack, that definitely weakened him for most of the fight. But eventually, Yuji's actually hit by another blast after he was being reckless, and that allowed Sukuna to take over now that Yuji's body is not completely, well, in control now. Not in control, but not at full power now. Oh, sorry about that. Sukuna would basically take control of Yuji's body, and he does still acknowledge that the body is still, like, kind of just forcing itself to be weaker than what it actually is. But the fact that Yuji beat the Finger Bearer all to hell despite being reckless, Sukuna just used a singular cleave and that killed the Finger Bearer. But when Megumi and Kurosaki arrive, Sukuna tried to rip out Yuji's heart, but immediately the moment his hand had entered Yuji's body seemed to have a reflex where it began pulling its hand out by force. Sukuna started realizing the body is definitely stronger than the soul for Yuji, as he could not... The soul may have intent to harm the body, but the body will not let that happen. Eventually, Yuji would force control back, ripping his own hand out of his chest, but he began losing a lot of blood, so Megumi would catch him, call Gojo. Gojo arrives, teleports him and Megumi to Shoko. Ichichi gives Nobara a ride to Tokyo Tech. But then, when they get to Tokyo Tech, Shoko points out that Sukuna was already passively healing him because of his soul having RCT, or reverse curse technique, but then she pointed out that Yuji's body would naturally have a healing factor somehow, but then his restriction healing factor already amplified that. So he basically just said that, you know, if you left him alone for like 10 minutes, he would have been fully healed. He would have been fine. You made them realize that Yuji's body is just freakishly regenerative. So, now when it comes to training with Nanami, Yuji does do that. The fact that Gojo wanted him to train someone who's a more CQC or weapons-oriented fighter. Maki would be a good option, as she's definitely probably more skilled than Nanami weapons-wise, but Nanami's probably has the edge in terms of physical power. At least at this point in the story. So, I would say a lot of this arc is the exact same until Mahito will try to kill Junpei. Like Nanami has acknowledged that Yuji is definitely a different kind of kid. The fact that, like, he is stronger, he's faster, he's not smarter, but his skill is out of this world. As when it came to, like, those curses that Nanami said, oh, kids can't fight, in the blink of an eye, Yuji would just stomp on the ground and flick pieces of debris at them and kill two curses right then and there. And Nanami realizes right then and that Yuji is definitely not one to be trifled with when it comes to fights in general. One more who think the only person who actually beat Yuji would be Gojo, and that's because Gojo can't be hit. So the only reason he's actually thinking Gojo's above Yuji is the fact that Gojo can't be hit. Other than that, he actually thinks Yuji was kind of fighting chance against Gojo. Which he kind of would, but Gojo's teleportation would be stuck in the mud. So yeah. But we're going to when Junpei is turned into a transfigured human, and then he dies. Yuji's actually just frozen right now, as he's definitely reaching a whole new level of anger. As in this line of work, he thought he'd be so strong and no one would die on him again. But this proved him wrong. Mahito, taking advantage of being stuck in place and tried to grab his face, only to realize that his correct technique won't transfigure Yuji. And Mahito actually backs up, and just says, why won't my technique kill you? As he stumbles back up the stairs. Sukuna didn't intervene at all. Yuji is simply just terrifying. Looks at Mahito with a look that even frees Uraume. And he says, my body can suppress Sukuna. My body can push back Satoru Gojo. And my soul is filled with so much malice that I can't contain anything. So now, I'll show curses what it's like to experience the wrath of humanity. Yuji would pull out Flutter Demon as it's still intact, and cut off one of Mahito's hands. Mahito tries to save Yuji and be continuously cut, stabbed, and thrown through buildings. By the time Nanami arrives, Mahito's trying to fly away, only for Yuji to grab onto him and fling him into a fire hydrant, and basically just continuously to dog Mahito because he refuses to let him go. But eventually Mahito would jump towards Nanami, activate his domain expansion, and threaten to kill Yuji, or threaten to kill Nanami to get to Yuji. But just, 0.5 seconds later, about 0.5 seconds after the domain is popped up, the domain is shattered, almost with a singular punch by Yuji, and that shattered half the domain. Nanami would end up taking advantage of Mahito being stunned and throw him right at Yuji, just like this, just grab him by his hair and toss. Yuji went in for a punch, but Mahito would turn into a rat, run up Yuji's arm, jump in the air, and fly away as fast as he can. And Yuji would just stare up at him with a look that would still freeze Uraume, and immediately Mahito is just like, he gets moves on levels of PTSD of Yoriichi, but for Mahito, it's Yuji. So yeah, Mahito kind of has a whole thing where he never wants to fight Yuji ever again. But then we go on to back at Tokyo Tech when Yuji would be introduced to the second years and reunite with his friends. This is where he's daddy's like, oh yeah, my training's done now. So yeah. So he returns later even to Maki, only for her to yell at him, "You bastard! It's all chipped." And Yuji isn't really too afraid of her, but he says, "I kind of fought a special way with it. If it makes you feel better, I cut off both of its arms. It's a pretty strong weapon." Maki realized while it was chipped, it's not supposed to cut through special grades. Yuji just used it way too aggressively, but it worked because it's Yuji's body. Which is, you could do that with this tiny ass knife. Putting it idea, she went inside and came out with Playful Cloud. She gave it to Yuji and told him how to use it, and she told him that she's going to teach him how to use it properly. So Maki spent the last few days before the Goodwill event training Yuji to use Playful Cloud. And everyone was honestly just baffled by the amount of destruction Yuji could cause with Playful Cloud when he was going all out, to the point where he was shaking the entire mountain that Tokyo Tech was on with his blows. That's how strong he is with Playful Cloud. But by the time the Goodwill event came around, Yuji still told Toto his type, but then Yuji added, maybe someone who's strong too, like Maki. She's strong as hell, but whisper, whisper. And then eventually Maki would yell, saying, "I heard flat, and if I hear it again, I'm cutting off your manhood at the base." Yuji would really jump into Toto's arms and yell, "Let me join your side," as he was terrified of Maki for that little moment. But immediately, Noritoshi would push Yuji back to his side, and Yuji would hide behind Panda, because Panda has no manhood. Panda is a stuffed animal. But eventually, once the tomfoolery was done, the fight began, and Yuji and Toto had a hand-in-hand fight, which was completely in Yuji's favor. Toto's skill was superior, but even then, not by much. You guys wondering why Yuji's martial arts aren't as good as Toto's, even though Yuji knows more than one martial art. Yuji had to split time between learning both of them, because he learned one from his grandfather, one from a dojo. His one martial arts skill over the other, and he's kind of learning to do both of those at once. At this point, Yuji would actually begin using his grappling and striking skills in tandem, where he would evolve his martial arts skill in general, where he actually begins catching up to Toto. Eventually, Toto would try to boogie-woogie using the Playful Cloud, but then that Toto would appear around Yuji. Yuji would end up grabbing Playful Cloud almost instantaneously and slamming it at Toto. Toto felt like the need to just dodge, and he did just that. But when he hit the tree, he realized that Yuji's attack basically vaporized the tree, which made Yuji laugh at how scared Toto was. With Toto being scared and stunned, he just gets uppercutted right in the gut, and that was the end of the fight right then and there. Toto was knocked out. So, yeah. Now, for other sorcerers. Nobara, Maki, and Megumi. Those three all have amps. Nobara, Megumi, it's their reaction time and base speed. It's for 2 weeks, they had to try to keep up with Yuji. Megumi had an actual, body amp. Nobara did as well, but for her reaction, but for her speed, she learned how to use script energy more to reinforce herself. But on to Megumi versus Noritoshi. Megumi is actually able to dodge the majority of his attacks, or actually get close to him when he needed to. And the point where he didn't really even use any Shikigami aside from Maximum Elephant to push Noritoshi out of the building, and then he would use a back blade to slash him at the side. So with this, he kind of only used one Shikigami the entire time, then proceeded to go swordsmanship for everything else. There's a lot of them kind of just low different Noritoshi, and it was honestly not that too hard of a fight. If anything, making him a small graze that Noritoshi didn't have time to take advantage of. Look up real quick. Alright, so on to Nobara now. Nobara would use her advanced reaction speed and agility to actually leap off trees to fight Nishimiya. Nishimiya tried to fly up higher, and the rest of Nobara would kick off the tree so hard that it knocked it down. And Nishimiya was in the middle of being surprised. Nobara had grabbed her broom and yanked it out from under her. And while Nishimiya was falling, Nobara would throw it under her, and she hurt her back, kind of pulling a 10-10 versus Tamari kind of thing for that little instant. And with that, that's how Nishimiya was defeated. And with Maki, she honestly could just dodge all of her sister's attacks and then neck chop, and that's the fight. He's a little bit faster, so she's able to actually just do that easily. And when Hanami arrived, Yuji fought Hanami with Todo, but due to the fact that Yuji has no core synergy whatsoever, he cannot switch with Yuji. But he could switch with Playful Cloud. So he kind of like appear on Yuji's back, and then Yuji would just dash forward, tackle Hanami, while Todo would take advantage of Hanami being held, and dropkick Hanami right in the face as hard as he could. Hanami couldn't even pretend to tank any of Yuji's blows, the fact that Yuji is obviously going to break bones or anything, even if you block it. And we even see in like the staff room where Gojo simply just says, if I special grade or not, if Yuji hits it at least 5 times, it's gonna leave. The other one, why didn't hit it? Didn't that work finger bear? Because he was cutting it. He wasn't trying to punch it. He was just literally just cutting it and running away from it. So yeah. Hanami ends up resorting to their domain, but they could not find Yuji. Then Todo was actually like a bit less aggressive, like how the domain's supposed to work. He held up his phone camera and just said, "This is gonna be really funny." From behind, Yuji hit Hanami with an RKO. As soon as Hanami hit the ground from Yuji's move, Todo would run full speed and basically elbow drop Hanami in the face. And then Yuji would get back up, elbow drop as well. Basically just jump Hanami in their own domain until the domain falls. But when they're caught off guard by the domain falling, Hanami would just grab them both in plants and run away. As Hanami runs, Yuji's catching up pretty easily until Mahito would fly down, picking up Hanami and yelling, saying, "Don't let me do this again. I'm not going near him if I don't have to." And Yuji just stares at Mahito again, and immediately actually froze everyone in the vicinity like it was Conqueror's hockey. But even Todo didn't even want to move, seeing Yuji's look at Mahito. Alright, now we go to the next day. There's baseball. And Yuji's not allowed to participate. In fact, even if he held back, he'd destroy the bat or the ball. With this, Todo would kind of not participate in just standing for Yuji. He's like, if my brother can't play, neither can I. So they kind of just train the entire day. The bridge mission is honestly the exact same, but Nobara would be with Megumi, and Yuji would pretty easily just single-handedly defeat SM Ketchizu. And it's where he learns that they're brothers, kind of. And Nobara and Megumi tag team the Finger Bearer, which honestly probably end the same way. So, yeah. Alright, about two and a half months pass. Yuji's training is different because he trains with Maki. And now he realizes he's immune to domains. Maki and him both take advantage of that. They want to learn how to fight against domain users. So training is actually very much effective, as it's very similar to what happened with Maki and Mio. But it's a partial awakening. The fact that Mai isn't out of the picture, so it's only a partial awakening. Once Mai is out of the picture, the awakening will come in full effect. So, yeah. If anything, Maki did grow in terms of power. I'd compare her to Mei. But that's if Maki is like... She has a few exceptions that need to be added with that. Yuji would also train with Megumi, since Megumi needed experience using his domain, and Yuji needed experience fighting in domains like Megumi's, because it's a very hard target to fight in. With that, Megumi's control of her synergy and his reserves in general also grew. We also learned how to use Piercing Ox. Nobara got an all-around amp, which actually brings her to be about as strong as like Noritoshi, not like the evil one, the good one who's a decent teacher with blood manipulation. Yuji also trained Panda Inumaki, where Yuji would basically have Inumaki practice using cursed speech on him, and that's how Yuji builds up his resilience. And with Panda, he basically taught Panda how to grapple and strike even better. Mainly grappling, though. Now, on to Shibuya. We first see Yuji and Mei, and Mei would actually look at Yuji saying, "So kid, you're a special grade, right?" He nodded as he ended up talking to Mei, and he just has a bit of small rock in his hands. He chucks in the curses, and the rocks in the curses makes them explode. And he says, "Yeah, I'm strong as a lot of grade 1s, even a few special grades. But due to Sukuna, well, his soul, then when he takes her mind, well, that's special grade." And Hanami explains that he'd be a grade 1, the fact that he's not able to be as destructive as a special grade, but Sukuna carries him to that rank. But as we're talking, the Grasshopper Curse would charge Yuji. When the Grasshopper Curse through the first blow, Yuji would clash, quote-unquote, fists with it, which immediately blew apart the Grasshopper Curse's arms. But then Yuji, kind of using the momentum of like where his body would he punched with his right fist. As soon as his body rotates right, he fully embraces the rotate and then flips with his leg, hitting the Grasshopper Curse on the head full force, and basically obliterating it down the middle. So yeah. With that, when he landed, Mame actually finds it pretty impressive that he could do that, and he just says he can kill most cursors like that pretty easily. As immediately he sees a lot more curses and throws every bit of rock that he has in his hand, and kills at least 20 cursors with those rocks. And they're not even curse energy imbued, he's just throwing them really hard. So, yeah. And soon eventually we find Yuji, who's fighting Awasaka with Megumi. And Yuji did hold back at first, as Awasaka could tank a few of his blows, but not well. When Yuji has an idea, so he smirks and saying, I've been wanting to do this forever. And he throws Awasaka into a semi-truck, and as the semi-truck's metal kind of bent around Awasaka, holding it in place, Yuji would execute a 1-inch punch on Awasaka, but the fact that Awasaka is being held in place, it basically blew apart Awasaka's torso. So Yuji is drenched in blood, and he's just kind of stunned that he hit someone that hard. Making me had to explain why the 1-inch punch was that powerful for someone like Yuji. And maybe kind of just, Yuji, think of it this way. You would have gotten up and killed more people if you did not kill him. Either you'd have done it, or I would have. It was going to happen regardless. I'm letting you know that right now. So making me kind of helps you to understand that, yeah, he was going to die regardless. Either you would knock him out, and then I was going to kill him when you turn your back. So, yeah. But we're going to stick on once to Nobara. Nobara and Haruta fight, and honestly, it's actually a pretty decent fight, as I'd put pre-Culling games, Narutoshi and Haruta on a pretty similar scale, if not Narutoshi having the edge. Now, Narutoshi's edge comes in poison, but Nobara's comes in hairpin. So, with this, the fight goes on, and actually a pretty close fight. But when Nanami arrives, well, simply put, when Haruta saw Nanami, Haruta basically gets a nail right to the jaw, which makes him yell in pain. And then they get a 7-2 to the chest. Nobara and Nanami jump Haruta to the point where he dies 6 times over, and he runs out of miracles and dies. So with this, by the time Haruta's dead, they just walk away, and it was a job well done. Now on to Yuji. While he's running, Choso would fire piercing blood at him, which Yuji pretty easily dodges, like he jumped on a flight of stairs, hands in pockets, and staring straight ahead. Piercing blood, small head tilt, or literally just punch it out of the air, and it won't damage his fist at all, because he's just that durable. And Choso would yell at Yuji, saying, you killed my brothers, so now I'll kill. But before you even say, I'll kill you, Yuji just would appear in front of Choso and kick him, clean through the subways. And he proceeds to demolish Choso in combat. Choso starts to use floating skill stack. They clash fists, and the blood in his fist that was hardened just shattered. When that Choso's hand would reel back, he was grabbed by the collar and then headbutted to full force. And when he falls back, he's flipped, and then he's doing gun-like attack, like Gun from Lookism. He would use his destruction art, or basically would just be a series of blows to the back. Similar to what, exactly what Daniel did to Zhao Lung in the Hunt for Big Deal arc. He kind of just does that. With that, we end up seeing Choso hit the ground, easily defeated within the span of a minute. It was not that difficult for Yuji. But Choso still discovers him and Yuji are brothers, and then he limps away, having a mental breakdown. Meanwhile, somewhere else, we end up seeing the Nobito squad, which goes very similar, but small changes that Maki, using her body's amplified power, actually able to avoid Jogo's burn. Where he's just hit by a flash of flames, which only second-degree burns, not major third-degree ones. Jogo did see that, but then Nobara would actually use her hairpin and send Jogo flying back. Or she would use throttle and impale him on the leg or something, and he has to escape. But Nobara's with them, the fact that she was with Nanami. So, yeah. Now, eventually, Jogo would find Nanako and Mimiko fighting against Yuji, so he's trying to just dodge their attacks, which he's pretty easily doing, but he doesn't want to kill them. He reaches for their phone, only for Jogo to actually chime in using his speed to appear below Yuji, and probably the strongest jaw blow ever, carried by a lot of momentum, maybe a crowbar or something. A weapon, at least, lands right into Yuji's jaw or chin full force, which knocks out Yuji right then and there. Then he looks at Nanako Mimiko, just burns him to ash, and feeds Yuji all Sukuna's fingers. Not all the ones that he has, that being 10 of them. That brings Sukuna out, and, Sukuna would actually be fighting Jogo, not being as fast or as strong as he is before, but still, he's definitely faster than Jogo is. But here she would be using Yuji's martial arts skill that he had developed, as was developed to fight sorcerers specifically. It's a very specific martial art that Yuji had created based off of Aikido and Karate. So with this, it was like Shokan Karate plus Aikido. Those were combined, plus Yuji's own twist on it to fight sorcerers. Sukuna's using that and demolishes Jogo. The fact that Jogo doesn't know how to react to it. With this, Jogo was pretty easily killed by Sukuna. And soon after that, when it came to Mahoraga, never happened. Haruta never appeared in front of Megumi, so yeah. And then Sukuna rises another fight. Suddenly, one fist would lose all his markings and punch Sukuna square in the face, knocking him out right then and there. Sukuna fell back from that punch, and Yuji would take over, setting up, as his wound begins to heal on his face. Yuji still has a little bit of a breakdown from Sukuna killing so many people with Fuga. Then Megumi would walk over and begin talking to Yuji, and he talked him down from the breakdown. Sukuna hidden subways with Mahito. As soon as Mahito sees Yuji, he was about to touch Nanami, but even backing up as fast as he possibly can. He tries to run, but he just blinks once. In front of him is Yuji. We give him the meanest right hook in history. But before Mahito came to the ground, Yuji would follow up with a Manji kick, clean through the roof of the subway station, and onto the street. Yuji hops out and looks down at Nanami and Mahito, at Megumi and Nanami, telling him, both of you just go. This is my business. Now Mahito tried to get up, only realized that Yuji had taken Nanami's blunt sword, and when he tried to run away, suddenly his leg is cut clean off. Wings, one cut off. His leg gets lopsided, flies into a building, but as soon as he hits the building, Yuji would jump up and drop kick him, clean through the rest of that building. Then he sprints through it, tackles Mahito through another, and as soon as they hit the ground, Yuji begins wailing on him as hard as he possibly can. While he does that, suddenly Mahito is able to push Yuji off of him, but then by then he's already confronted by a lot of people. Yuji, Choso, Toto, Nobara, and Ox, and Maki. Maki was wrapped in bandages, and she threw Yuji Playful Cloud. He caught Playful Cloud, then Maki would drop your bandages, they were done now. And Yuji would slam it down on Mahito as hard as possibly can, shaking all of Shibuya. Shaking like earthquake level shake. Immediately, as soon as that was heard, Mahito's light began fading, only to see Yuji get sent flying away, basically a kick from Kenjaku. But, when he thought he was saved, he's immediately absorbed, and then the Culling games begin. And Yuji began fighting Kenjaku and Uraume. And Uraume is actually they're all on the back foot fighting Yuji. Wait, Paul. What was that? So, So Yuji has Kenjaku and Uraume on the back foot, and that's honestly the fact that he's punching through Uraume's ice, and when Kenjaku is too close, trying to use Maximum Uzumaki, Yuji just uses Playful Cloud and hits Maximum Uzumaki with it, and blows back all the curses. Point where his skill with Playful Cloud, and his all-around just physical speed, reaction speed, all of that, nobody will get close to him because he's not letting them. But eventually Yuki would arrive, and she points out that Yuji definitely deserves to rank a special grade. And with these two here, Kenjaku even points out that with these two here, they will lose, so he needs to leave. Which, if you heard that right, Yuki and Yuji alone will beat Uraume and Kenjaku. Yuki alone could have done that, but it would be a suicide mission. No suicide mission, Yuki plus Yuji, right now, demolish. Not even that hard for Yuji. You blitz Uraume and tear them in half if he wanted to. He's in the mood to kill someone. He just can't really live with that in 30 minutes. So, yeah. Alright, soon we see Yuji and everyone recovering. Not only his bandages like how Maki was earlier, but his bandages closely resemble him to Joshua Graham from Fallout New Vegas. And in fact, I was just playing it earlier, and I like Joshua. Okay. So, the reason that Nanami has bandages on is the fact that, it's not even just Jogo's burns, it's just the fact that they can heal a Shoko, but not to a good degree. The bandages basically give Nanami the feeling that the burns take away from him. So basically it allows him to feel fully human. But also, they also make him look a bit badass, which he does admit. And Toto is fine, he has no lost hand, and Nobara's perfectly fine. She was stronger, so she didn't really get in trouble with Haruta. She was with Nanami the entire time, too, so... She was with Shoko, that means, too, so she had to get Nanami to safety, or Megumi, she would arrive, see Nanami in danger, bring Nanami with Megumi to Shoko, yeah. But eventually we do see Naoya arrive. He arrived to kill Megumi for the title of clan head of the Zen'in. But when we try to blitz someone, Yuji just kick Naoya away, point where Naoya's basically, like, forearm was turned to dust, or at least the bone of it was. And from there, Choso and Maki and Toto all took over the fight. As Toto's claps were they weren't faster than Naoya's speed, but it's definitely more tricky. And Yuji would fight Yuta, point where Yuta actually needed to use his domain, and his blocking was stupid, because even if Yuji held back, blocking Yuji's punch, so if Yuji held back, even if Yuta wanted to block it, it would send him flying 5 blocks away. And yeah, Riki can block it too, except for the fact that Yuji would hurt her a lot more. Dodging. Out of the question, Yuji is basically the fastest character in the series at this point. He has awakened. Mahito caused that. But at the point he's the fastest character in the series, aside from Gojo. The reason Gojo's faster, teleportation. That is it. Nothing more. And then, when it comes to hitting Yuji, does not do much. He has a built-in healing factor, and he's built like 10 tanks in one. So yeah, so domain is the only way for Yuta to hurt Yuji, and even then, he can't find Yuji in his domain. Yuji found him, and by then, Yuta kind of gave up everything. He told Yuji the truth. He's like, alright, well, I'm going to go to the students. I would never side with the elders. That means I'm not with Gojo. But I need you to take a dive to get them off your back. Right now they're doing a Yaga for being with Gojo, or thinking he's with Gojo. Yuji immediately looks at Yuta, saying, "Are you fucking stupid?" And just bursts open the domain, and yelled for Megumi to use Nue. Yaga's being hunted by the elders. They jump on Nue, and Panda would go with them to fly all the way to Tokyo Tech, with Shoko, Yuji, and Megumi being on Nue. There's a bit of weight down, but then Yuji would jump down, just dart as fast as he can towards Tokyo Tech. And they arrive mid-fight, or Yuji arrives mid-fight and saves Gakuganji. Panda arrived as Gakuganji threatened to kill Yuji, but Gakuganji was off guard and basically got the meanest right hook of the century from Panda, which took out Gakuganji out of the fight. Immediately, the Shoko would walk over, heal Yaga, and Megumi had an idea by actually pulling his rank as clan head. He would say that if they killed the elders and became the new ones, he would pay them handsomely. Pay them more than the elders could pay them. Gakuganji, well, he doesn't want to like this idea, but he's very old-fashioned. Taking orders from clan heads, definitely old-fashioned. With this, him and Yaga both agree, and almost about an hour later, they walk out of the elders' compound, blood staining their bodies. As we see behind Yaga, an army of stuffed animals that were all much larger than they're supposed to be. And with Gakuganji, we see him with a different guitar, and a whole different pick, too. But even then, he looked menacing. But then we go on to a week passing. By then, the new elders were established, not even elders, they are just the heads of Sorcerer Society. They're called the Sorcerer Heads. The heads are Gakuganji, Yaga, and Miguel. As you guys may be wondering, well, why these people? Gakuganji, he represents old-fashioned sorcery. Yaga, he represents the new age of sorcery. And these two are based on about Japan. Miguel brings in a whole new factor of international sorcery. So, yeah, they're kind of like Sorcerer NATO now. Now, a week passes, and Yuji has mastered his awakening abilities. Yuji, Toto, and Megumi go out to recruit Hakari and Karara. Yuji's gonna fight Hakari out alone, since Yuji beat Panda, who was just there for a recon. When Panda was a fighter, Yuji beat Panda in like a punch, or maybe even a flick. If you want to highball Panda, Yuji beat him in a flick. But while Yuji would fight Hakari does use Jackpot, since he came to the conclusion with Yuta that Yuta did about a week ago. Blocking is stupid, dodging is impossible, and you should just not hit Yuji in general, because he will shrug it off. But Hakari realized that he's like, oh, he's holding back. Then thought the fact that he knows what my Jackpot does now. But he came to the conclusion like, oh, this is not going to end good for me. he gets an entire fist through his chest. Yuji yanks it up, but he's basically just dog Hakari. By the time he's done, Hakari had already healed, but he was knocked out. And Hakari woke up, just kind of hold it back into a corner, hiding behind Kurara, saying that they'll join Yuji's side. Like, not my side, it's Yaga's side, it's the side of New Sorcerer Society. I got heard the idea that you can heal, so I didn't hold back, because I have to do that so much, and Gojo-sensei isn't here for me to go all out on. Sadly. For the Zen'in massacre, Yaga, Miguel, and Gakuganji chaperone Maki to the Zen'in compound, and they basically just kind of arboscope out who and who should not be killed. They basically kill every single fighter in the clan, leaving the women and children unscathed, or what little children there were. And the women are all fine, but their husbands are all dead and buried, but they were definitely compensated. So Maki's mom is alive, but Ogi his head is in half. So yeah, Maki also does complete her awakening. Now the Culling games. Yuji, Nanami, Nobara, and Megami were the ones looking for Higuruma, and actually no, just Higuruma. So we're going to start with Nobara and Megami, who were with Remy, Chizuru, Reggie, and Hazanoki, as they were misled by Remy. Nobara saw through Remy the moment that they laid eyes on her, but the moment that they saw Reggie, Nobara was just solidified, and as soon as Remy turned around to say, "Oh, I misled you," Nobara would grab her by the back of her hair and hit her in the face with the hammer, full force, taking her out of the fight right then and there. Nobara then looked at Chizuru, who just made his claws and slashed at Nobara. Nobara would dodge, and in the blink of an eye, she would just use her Black Flash, and it slammed Chizuru through the building, which ended the fight right then and there. All that's left is Hazanoki, while Megami's going to handle Reggie. They're like, "Oh, why is Nobara so strong?" Nobara's smart. Literally, she has a hammer that does a lot of damage, especially when imbued with cursed energy. Like a grade 4 can be killed by a baseball bat. Nobara physically stronger than the average human by a long shot. That's already enough to make a hammer stronger than an average wooden bat. Now, a trained Nobara, who is much more strong than the average human, by a lot more at this point, even stronger, can take probably about a grade 3 or 2 with minimal energy. At this point, Nobara is like Meme level, and that's going all out. She's Meme level, so I comfortably have Meme above basically everyone here, aside from Reggie, and even then, I'm calling that a close fight. So, if we guys see my thought process. So, Megami will fight Reggie, opening his domain. That's actually complete, but only lasts for 15 seconds. But Reggie is caught by the toads, then Rabbit escape. Although the other rabbits finish their damage, the domain would fall, but when Reggie would realize that Ultragami had fallen, he had no time to use Hollow Wicker Basket. The Jetpack Blade is used, and he's impaled through the heart. Megami yanks the sword out, and with Reggie's last breaths, Megami forces him to hand over all his points, which he does gladly do. Megami kind of just pushes him over, out of a window, as he sees how the fight with Hazanoki and Nobara is going. Nobara is pretty badly burned from the explosions, and her eye is definitely messed up. While Hazanoki is missing an entire arm, and he does use RCT, so when you try to regrow it, he's basically just tackled by Megami, who would use a new way to catch them. But they're out the window. From above, they end up seeing Nanami jump down, grabbing Hazanoki by the head, and actually throws him onto the street full force. No way was not needed. Nanami had saw the fight going on. So they go to the ground, and they see the Hazanoki pancake. Nanami kind of has his suit on with bandages around his face and in his hands, but he definitely looks cold. From nearby, they end up seeing Takaba, and Takaba and Nanami both have the scent of alcohol on their breaths, which shows that they have not been fighting. They were honestly just drinking and having fun, because they're about the same age. Well, actually, Takaba's a little bit older, but Nanami's definitely a working class man who'd probably fall into the same kind of humor as Takaba. So, yeah. Well, meanwhile with Yuji, Hanyu tried to nosedive into Yuji, only for Yuji to just tank it, which cracked a bit of Hanyu's skull. But he kind of just leaped off of her, or when she was falling to the ground, which kind of flying through a building. Well, Yuji's still airborne for the last second. We end up seeing Habo trying to just twirl into Yuji. but he just grabbed him by his head and threw him into Hanyu, who tried to get back up, which kind of led into a plane helicopter collision, which ended up in a very gross mush that Yuji did not want to look at for a second longer. He landed, and then Amai led him to where Higuruma would be. From a distant building, Yuji would just yell, saying, "Nanami, Kujisaki, Megumi." But then, one person who yells back is Nanami, because he'd indulge Yuji. But from Kujisaki, who would call, and she just says, "We have phones for a reason. Call us." Yuji jumped back from Nobara yelling at him, and he just texts everyone his address. They arrive, and he tells them he can go handle Higuruma. But when when Nanami realizes how old Higuruma could be, he's like, well, "Let me handle. He's an adult. I'll talk to him." Now they do have a small scuffle, which when Domain does activate, it's revealed that Nanami's not really a bad guy. He's actually a pretty decent person. So Higuruma and Nanami leave. Higuruma gets his impressions of the group. Megumi is definitely a very cold person, but he's the definition of what a sorcerer should be. Nobara, she's pretty badly injured, but not badly, but she's injured. But still more like, yeah, she's actually a pretty decent girl. And Yuji's his favorite, the fact that he's a very scary person in terms of power, but he's probably the nicest one here, aside from Takaba. So yeah, to Tokyo Culling number 2. Panda, Yaga, and Miguel were all fighting Kashimo. And Kashimo at this point wasn't going all out to begin with, but he definitely wasted a lot of energy. When Hakari did arrive, though, Hakari at this point is fighting Kashimo, who's not even at 100%, he's more like at about 87% of power. With this, there's no Hakari dying, or could have possibly dying in this fight. It was like, when it came down to being shocked one time and blew up in his chest, Hakari was like, you still have some power left. Time to go all out. And she's about to body Kashimo in 4 minutes. If anything, this would make Hakari seem stronger, unless you want to check the source. I'm not saying this proves Hakari stronger. No, this is dead. That's just saying this was a book. You'd have to fact check yourself saying Hakari is stronger. He was not. He honestly just got lucky that 3 people were fighting Kashimo for him. They were all decently powerful. Back to Yuji's group. Everyone got what they needed, as Yaga had collected the points of Kashimo. Yuji collected the points of Higuruma, and they got whatever they needed. But we end up seeing Nobara, who actually has some extra points from killing Chizuru and Remy, while we see Nanami going about killing a few random other sorcerers or curses who are attacking them. When Nanami would actually be looking through his texts, just because he actually doesn't say it, but he does miss Gojo a little bit. The fact that he misses one of his only friends. But he sees a little bit of text history, as Gojo had talked about a guy named Toji. Now, Nanami hardly ever replied, but Gojo was a serial texter to Nanami. So with this, we'll actually hear a bit about Gojo's past, or reads about it, and realizes that there's a weapon that can actually pierce Toji, and pierce infinity. With this, Nanami has an idea. And with this, he actually would ask for the weapon that pierced saw through Gojo's infinity. That weapon is Inverted Spirit Heaven. Nanami and Nobara combined had just enough points to get that for Yuji. Now Yuji notes that Sukuna probably is hearing all this way. She tells Nanami, hold on to it, and Nanami kind of just tucks it into the suit. So, yeah. Now if you guys are curious about Maki, she's already awakened and mastered her awakening. She can pretty easily beat Curse Naoya without any difficulty. He doesn't get to activate his domain. Maki kills him before that even happens. So, yeah. Now, Megana still happens. The fact that Yuji was honestly just relaxing, he was a bit tired. But while he was hearing about the cursed child, Sukuna will take over, and then this leads to Hana Kurusu being injured, then Megana occurring, or Megana occurring, then Megana hurting Hana/Angel. But Sukuna would be in a building, only to see Yuji walking towards them with the same look he would give Mahito. And immediately makes Sukuna kind of realize, hey, I should run away. And he does just that, trying to run away from Yuji. The thing is, though, Yuji used Playful Cloud and demolish the entire building, making it fall on Sukuna. He would use Dismantle to destroy the majority of the building, but Yuji would dive through the rubble, grabbing Sukuna by the face and sliding him into the ground as hard as he possibly can. And with this, Yuji's pulling the same beating he was doing on Mahito, but alone. But then we end up seeing Kenjaku and Uraume arrive, again to save someone from Yuji's wrath. But this time, Yuji fights all three of them, and it's definitely a much harder fight. In fact, he gets cut a few times by Sukuna, or frozen a few times by Uraume. But we end up seeing Nanami arrive, holding the prison realm. Immediately, he would cut it open, and then he throws out Gojo. Gojo, I choose you. So Gojo would arrive, will land in between Yuji and everyone else, and will launch two attacks, that being Lapis Blue and Reversal Red. It sends Uraume and Kenjaku flying away, but he looks at Gojo, and Sukuna tells him, "You have 1 month, and then I'm going to kill you." Then everyone just vanishes. So with this, that is the end of the Culling games, and we go on to the Shinjuku Showdown. For the training, Yuji would have fought with Maki and Nanami, and was still blade users, with Yuji having the most powerful blade. And Maki would actually inherit a little bit of Yuji's knowledge of how to control your muscles, as he's basically the expert on his body. So Maki actually learned how to amp her strength and speed a lot faster, while Nanami would actually inherit, Yuji did the swap with Maki before Nanami. Nanami inherited Maki and Yuji's knowledge of the blade. So this basically stacked Yuji's blade knowledge and Nanami's blade knowledge. The point where they're both basically masters the blade, but Maki still has a slight edge on them. But the fight with Gojo begins, Gojo vs Sukuna, and it's honestly not much different. Until Yuji and Higuruma arrive. When they both arrive though, despite Sukuna being at 19 fingers and in his four-armed form, he is genuinely scared of Yuji, since he knows he is the Emerald Spear Heaven. Also, since he's seen skill that hardly anyone can overcome. But then hardly, the only person who can actually overcome Yuji's skill might actually only be Kenjaku, and that's just because Kenjaku is old as hell, and that is it. Well, not skill, but more like his body. Even that's just because people are old, and they've likely seen at least one person as strong as Yuji. But from that fight, we're going to go on to Uraume, which is actually Hakari and Nobara. Nobara is actually able to perceive and blast apart Uraume's ice using hairpin, and she's able to blow apart the ice before it even reaches Hakari. So his jackpot, well, he doesn't really need to stop running at Uraume. So basically, Nobara is the one who's not fighting, but she's the one who's destroying the attack before they reach Hakari, or she's giving him a shortcut to go around. And with this, Nishimi is there, having Nobara on her broom so that Nobara's never caught in one place. But eventually, Nobara had an idea. She pulls out her straw doll and tells Hakari, get some of her blood, or get some of their blood. Hakari will land a punch on her, that sends him flying in the air, but she allows Nishimi to fly down with Nobara, and Nobara will actually probably just smack her in the hammer, which gets some blood all over the hammer. It shows Hakari has a better idea, this is more blood. This is on the blood on the straw doll now. Nobara would actually pierce one of Urume's arms, and make sure it was her dominant arm, or their dominant arm. As Nobara would watch Uraume try to virtually freeze the ground to actually engulf Hakari, but the moment that Uraume tried to freeze the ground, well, straw doll was used, and basically blows apart the majority of Uraume's arm. When Uraume realized that they can't move their arm, Hakari would just jump through their ice and tackle them and suplex them into a car as hard as they possibly can. Uraume tried to use their other hand to freeze Hakari, only from Nobara to jump off the broom, and using a black flash would descend down on Uraume as hard as humanly possible. It would actually cave in Uraume's chest, having them get up, trying to use a bit of RCT to heal. Hakari would use one more attack, that being Jackpot, and using his immortality, and Nobara using one more black flash. They both do a combined attack. That basically obliterates Uraume's upper half, caving in their chest more, basically making a giant divot in their body, which kills them right then and there. Now with that, they killed Uraume. Yay. But they both collapse on the ground, panting, as Hakari says, "There were so many domains." And Nobara just says, that was a lot of black flashes. That was 2 of them. But there's also a lot of energy going into Hairpin and Straw Doll. But now we're on to Kenjaku, who's fighting Yuta, Takaba, and Nanami. Takaba would catch Kenjaku off guard using his domain, but before Takaba dies, he decides to let down his domain, because he knows his best friend Nanami is right outside. So immediately with this, as soon as he let down the domain, Kenjaku's caught off guard. He's kind of just stunned. The domain dropped by will. But then you see someone dash by, and Kenjaku looks on his stomach, with his intestines falling out. He tried to use RCT to heal it, only for Yuta to trap Kenjaku in his domain. The Yuta's domain falls. There's nothing left of Kenjaku. Which means no merger will happen. That whole thing is done. Tengen is consumed by Rika. Or probably not, probably just actually captured, as I think Yuta would know not to capture or eat Tengen. I think they actually have Tengen in their possession. Other than that, every curse that Kenjaku had aside from Tengen is eaten. Which gives Yuta a whole new arsenal of techniques, like a lot of different techniques. Because they all happened in Yuta's domain, so they never really got out. They were kind of just all in Yuta's area. But back to Sukuna. Sukuna would still be put on trial by Higuruma, but honestly, that goes about the exact same way. By the way, Kashimo was still killed. But by the time that Sukuna's domain had, by the time Higuruma's domain had fallen, to Sukuna's shock, both Hakari and Nobara were in the fight. But Nobara is actually pretty much weakened. She tells everyone, you fight him, get some DNA, bring it to me. That should be enough time for me to recover. They all agree. But Yuji had an idea, as he ends up swinging at his phone and begins fighting Sukuna one-handedly, jumping around him while he calls Meme. Meme just told her saying, hey, get Toto down here, I have a plan. Toto would appear, switching places with Nobara, and he would jump down with Yuji asking what the plan is, and he simply just says, hold Sukuna. Yuji and Toto both shoulder check Sukuna into each other, actually breaking a few Sukuna's arms, like two or three of them. They put Sukuna in place, and then immediately Higuruma would use his gavel, smacking Sukuna in the face as hard as possibly can, caving in his head a little bit. Before he tries to heal, suddenly Sukuna is hit by 2 bird strikes, which actually destroys the majority of his body. With this, we end up seeing the Executioner's Blade activated, and it impales Sukuna clean through the chest, killing him right then and there. Which is an anticlimactic fight, I know, but with Yuji being the only person who actually physically holds Sukuna like this, plus Toto, it would work. Cleave or no cleave, if it hit Yuji alone or Toto alone, Yuji shouldn't hold on. In fact, that Yuji will not take as much damage, or he can just hold Sukuna by himself still. Toto is just reinsurance. Even if it wasn't Higuruma killing him, bird strike, a lot of damage. Being very bad at damage, Yuta arrives. Rika, Yuta, you know how to use cleave and dismantle. So Sukuna's gonna die in the next 10 minutes. Higuruma, or no Higuruma, Yuji holding him alone would be the deciding factor of the fight. But hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.